The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers for Tuesday, September 9th. Rich ends it for good, Taylor snaps. And will pulls Liam into Luna's Secret Tuesdays episode of The Bold and the Beautiful turns up the heat as Rich Forrester drops a bombshell that shatters Taylor Hayes' world. While Will Spencer spirals into obsession and pulls his tech-savvy half-brother Liam Spencer into the shadows of Luna Nozawa's secret past. The stakes are rising, and the fallout is going to be massive. Let's start with Taylor. She's not just upset, she's furious, blindsided, and teetering on the edge of betrayal. After everything she's sacrificed, every ounce of hope she's poured into her future with Ridge, he's still choosing Brooke Logan. Again, Taylor can't accept it. Not after Ridge promised her a life together, not after everything they've rebuilt. She refuses to let Ridge call off the engagement without a fight. But Ridge has made up his mind, and once he does that, nothing deters him. On Tuesday's episode, he finally lays it all out in brutal clarity. The love he has for Brooke never faded, and now he's running back to her, closing the door on Taylor permanently. Taylor pleads, reasons, and even threatens to walk away from everything for good. She can't believe he's making this choice again, abandoning her in the same painful loop. Ridge listens, but it doesn't change his decision. He tells her it's over. There's nothing left to save. And even though it gets him to hurt her, Ridge makes it clear that his heart was never truly out of Brooke's orbit. The emotional weight of this betrayal hits Taylor hard. She stares at the man she thought was her future and realizes he was never really hers to begin with. Ridge walks away, leaving Taylor hollowed out and seething. But as one storm ends, another brews, and this one involves secrets, surveillance, and an unexpected trip to a luxury high-rise. Will Spencer, still a teenager, is neck-deep in mystery and confusion. Someone out there knows something and they're not hiding it well. Luna Nozawa, the woman who's haunted his thoughts since that cryptic mask night, has been sending anonymous messages that have left Will both shaken and curious. The image of the mask was the latest clue. It rattled him. He can't shake the idea that Luna might be the sender, or worse, that she's in trouble. Something about those messages feels like a cry for help. And Will? He's listening. This leads him to the only person he trusts with this kind of situation, Liam Spencer. Will might be young, but he's not naive. It knows Liam has the skills and instincts to sniff out the truth. Liam may not be a hacker, but he's tech-savvy enough to trace messages, cross-reference timestamps, and pick apart digital breadcrumbs. So Will shows up at Forrester Creations, interrupting Liam's day with a desperate plea, "Help me figure this out." Liam doesn't brush him off. Not when he sees the look in Will's eyes. This isn't a prank or a teenage obsession. There's real fear here. Will spills what he knows, handing Liam the messages and the strange image of the mask. Liam, intrigued and slightly alarmed, begins to dig. It doesn't take long before he triangulates the origin of the messages, narrowing it down to a particular building. A high-rise, several towers, and one very familiar name, Lee Finnegan. Lee's penthouse sits on the upper floor of one of the buildings in question. Luna's mother. It all starts to connect. Liam and Will zero in on the location, and Will makes a bold move. He's going there alone. It's a reckless decision, but it's driven by instinct. Will feels like the answer he needs is at the top of that tower. So he goes, unaware of waiter Holwitz him. The elevator ride is long, quiet, and full of anticipation. He reaches the door, hesitates, then knocks. Inside, Luna Nozawa hears it. She wasn't expecting company, especially not him. Her heart sinks. She opens the door and finds Will standing there, holding his phone like it's a badge. His eyes are searching hers, looking for truth, for answers, for confirmation that she's the one who's been contacting him in secret. Luna is stunned. Her carefully guarded world, already cracking, threatens to collapse under the weight of Will's appearance. She can barely speak. Her mind races with questions. How did he find her? Why is he here now? And most of all, does he know? This encounter rattles Luna. She's tried so hard to bury the past, to keep that one masked night a secret. But the past is clawing its way to the surface, and now Will's looking her in the eye, demanding answers she's not ready to give. Her reaction is raw, confused, and emotional. She doesn't deny anything, but she doesn't confirm it either. The tension is thick, the silence louder than words. Luna's confusion only deepens when Liam shows up moments later, breathless from having chased Will up the building. He finds both of them in a standoff, Luna on edge and Will demanding clarity. Liam tries to mediate, gently pressing Luna for information while urging Will to stay calm. But the truth doesn't stay buried for long in the bold and the beautiful. Luna knows this is only the beginning. Her past is inching closer to the light, and with Will now involved and Liam in tow, there's no telling what's going to be exposed. This episode lays the groundwork for several explosive developments. Ridge's reunion with Brooke is sure to reignite old rivalries, particularly with Taylor, who's not walking away quietly. Meanwhile, the Luna-Will saga is about to spiral into full-blown chaos. The messages were never random. The mask wasn't just a costume. And Luna's role in whatever happened that night might be bigger and darker than anyone imagined. As the days unfold, Will won't be the only one digging. Liam is going to double down on his investigation, while Luna tries to stay one step ahead. But secrets have a way of surfacing, especially when the wrong people start asking the right questions. And with Ridge making moves of his own, the Forrester world is on the verge of implosion romantically and otherwise. Stay locked in. Every scene, every confrontation, every revelation is pushing the bold and the beautiful closer to a reckoning no one saw coming. As always, CDL will be your first stop for all things B&B. Expect more shockers, more betrayals, and a whole lot more drama because in this world, nothing stays beautiful forever. The return of Thomas Forrester, obsession, redemption, and the dark clouds looming in the bold and the beautiful Thomas Forrester is back in Los Angeles, and once again, his presence has sent ripples through the world of the bold and the beautiful. Ridge and Taylor's eldest son, long known for his troubled past, obsessive tendencies, and dark psychological twists, has re-entered the canvas not as the villain of old but not quite as a redeemed man either. As the series plunges deeper into family chaos, romantic destruction, and long-standing grudges, the return of Thomas signals a powder keg waiting for the match. There are no coincidences in this worldly inevitabilities. And if history tells us anything, Thomas Forrester is a ticking time bomb. Years ago, Thomas' storyline shifted drastically when Matthew Atkinson stepped into the role. The writers took a character once known for creativity and quiet intensity and plunged him into a psychological tailspin. When Thomas returned in 2019, he was reeling from the death of Carolyn Spencer, the mother of his son Douglas. With grief clouding his mind and a 5-year-old boy in need of stability, Thomas leaned on his family. But one person, in particular, became his emotional crutch, Hope Logan. Hope, mourning the tragic stillbirth of her daughter Beth, found comfort in bonding with Douglas. And Thomas, already smitten with Hope, used that connection to draw her closer. Despite Hope's marriage to Liam, Thomas pursued her with single-minded determination, and that fascination snowballed into a dangerous obsession. When Thomas learned that Beth was, in fact, alive and had been kidnapped by Dr. Reese Buckingham's father, desperate to repay gambling debts, made the damning choice to hide the truth. Why? Because keeping the secret meant preserving his sister Steffi's newfound joy as Beth's adoptive mother, and it kept Hope close to him. But secrets don't stay buried in Los Angeles. Thomas manipulated, threatened, lied, and ultimately spiraled so far that he was partially responsible for the death of Emma Barber, who died in a car crash after discovering the truth. Thomas had stalked her, driven recklessly behind her, and moments later, Emma was dead. Whether it was truly murder or simply consequence remains a heated debate, but the darkness in Thomas was undeniable. It all came to a head when Thomas forced Hope into marriage under emotional coercion. But the one person he couldn't manipulate was his son. Douglas, innocent and brave, told the truth. Beth was alive. The marriage ended, and so did whatever trust Hope had left. But not their bond. Thomas and Hope continued to raise Douglas, and their mutual care for the boy kept them tied together emotionally and professionally. They worked side by side at Hope for the future, and over the years, Thomas' obsession seemed to mellow. Therapy, time, and the constant presence of family gave the illusion that Thomas had changed. But illusions in B&B rarely last. Ridge and Brooke have always been torn over Thomas. Ridge, a devoted father, believes in second chances. Brooke, fiercely protective of her daughter, sees through the charm. She's never trusted Thomas and has made that clear at every turn. Their conflict reached boiling points multiple times when Thomas manipulated Hope, when he faked a call to Child Protective Services and framed Brooke. And when Hope believed she'd accidentally killed Thomas by pushing him into what she thought was a vat of acid, it was actually a cleaning solution. But the trauma stuck. Brooke has always advocated for institutional help for Thomas, not just motherly comfort from Taylor. Thomas, meanwhile, has made no secret of his resentment toward Brooke. He blames her for Ridge abandoning their family and sees her as the barrier between his parents' happiness. His manipulations have, more than once, served the goal of reuniting Ridge and Taylor. The CPS scandal where he framed Brooke for calling the authorities on him for using a knife near Douglas was just one of many moments where Thomas proved he's always several steps ahead when scheming. Despite their long-standing sibling rivalry, Thomas and Steffi remain bonded by blood and loyalty. She doesn't always agree with his choices, but when it mattered, like during the Hope-Douglas custody battle, stepped in to stabilize the situation. Steffi took temporary custody of Douglas, giving the boy emotional breathing room. She also gave Thomas some harsh truths about the toll his behavior was taking on everyone, including Hope. Yet, in spite of all warnings, Hope and Thomas slowly, quietly drifted into romance. Years of working together and co-parenting Douglas thawed her fears. She watched him, believed he'd changed. His obsession had turned into quiet admiration. He no longer pressured her. He waited. And when the Rome fashion show culminated in a professional triumph, Hope shocked herself and everyone else by kissing Thomas in front of the Colosseum. That kiss ended her marriage to Liam. Liam was devastated. Hope, feeling betrayed and judged, leaned into her feelings for Thomas. Everyone in their circle, especially Brooke and Steffi, saw this as a potential disaster. Even Taylor remained cautious. Ridge and Eric were the only ones who dared to believe Thomas could hold onto his sanity if Hope loved him. And she died, at least she thought she did. But it wasn't enough. Fresh from her divorce, Hope wasn't ready to jump into another lifelong commitment. When Thomas proposed, she hesitated. He accepted her indecision and gave her the ring to wear on a chain. But when he asked again and received the same non-committal answer, he broke it off. It was a decisive moment. No anger, no rage, just clarity. Hope couldn't love him the way he loved her. Steffi told him to hold his head high and move on. So he did. He left for Paris with Douglas. Then, out of nowhere, he returned. Just before the September 2nd episode aired, Thomas came back to Los Angeles with surprising news. He was engaged to Paris Buckingham. It stunned everyone. But the engagement didn't last. What the audience now knows is that Paris' mother, Grace Buckingham, manipulated events behind the scenes. She convinced Liam that he was dying, a lie designed to extort money from Bill Spencer for a supposed life-saving surgery. When the scam unraveled, so did the engagement. Paris wanted nothing to do with the fallout. Heartbroken and disillusioned, Thomas came home seeking comfort from the only people he could still call family. Douglas remained in southern France with friends, giving Thomas space to reflect. But instead of healing, he found his parents' love story crumbling. Ridge had broken things off with Taylor again and was moving back toward Brooke. For Thomas, it felt like history repeating itself. This time, he wasn't going to stay silent. He told Brooke exactly what he thought, making it clear that he wasn't giving up on reuniting Ridge and Taylor. His return set off a chain reaction. Ridge, aware of how fragile his son's mental health can be, began to worry. Breaking off the engagement with Taylor might break Thomas in ways they couldn't fix. And now, the question looms. Is this a new chapter for Thomas or the beginning of his next descent into darkness? All it takes is one trigger. One emotional blow. One moment where he feels rejected, abandoned, or powerless. And if Rich's reunion with Brooke continues, that moment may be coming fast. If Hope moves on with someone new or worse, returns to Liam could fall into the same destructive patterns. His history is a cycle. Hope, rejection, obsession, collapse. He says he's changed. He wants to believe it. But people like Thomas don't escape their demons, they just put them on a leash. As the bold and the beautiful surges forward, all eyes are on Thomas. Can he truly move on from Hope? Will he once again manipulate the people he claims to love? Is his concern for his parents genuine or just another way to regain control? The answers are coming. But if the past is any indicator, peace never lasts long where Thomas Forrester is concerned. In a world where secrets fester and love cuts deeper than knives, Thomas isn't just part of the drama, he is the drama. And as the shadows gather around the Forresters again, one thing is certain. Thomas Forrester's story is far from over.